What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video and welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and infrastructure update and daily news report for Saturday, May 15th. Hopefully you guys have an incredible weekend. If you have anything fun planned, let me know what you guys are doing down in the comment section below. I'd really like to know what you guys do just for fun. So let's get into the update for today. First, we know Democrats plan to implement more forms of universal basic income throughout the United States, and I want to explain exactly how they plan on doing this. Republicans and Democrats continue to fight over how they will pay for President Biden's proposed $4 trillion infrastructure bill. The House passed a bill to remove medically necessary debt from your credit report. There's $28 billion that was being used for to help save restaurants. Well, that fund is already running out. The IRS is looking at multiple ways to crack down on cryptocurrency traders, and this could cost small-time traders a lot of money. And the IRS also said that they said yesterday that they are going to start paying for all those people that overpaid for their unemployment income taxes. They will start sending them a refund check this coming week. So there's a lot going on right now, but let me break down what we are currently hearing. Now, what I can tell you is that the stimulus checks, the $1,200 stimulus checks that were passed under the Trump administration, the $600 stimulus checks, which again were passed under the Trump administration, and the $1,400 stimulus checks that were passed under the Biden administration, all three of those checks did one thing. They helped prop up the economy. They helped give the American people more money. Consumer spending was up as soon as those stimulus checks went out. And so what economists are saying is that another stimulus check is needed. Many experts are predicting that an additional stimulus check will come. I'm no expert, okay? I'm just a guy on YouTube. But what I can tell you is after reading a lot of articles, listening to interviews, just kind of, reading through the tweets that some of these lawmakers are putting out there, what I can tell you is that an additional stimulus check is something that many lawmakers want, but right now it's what is going to be prioritized. Will it be stimulus checks or will it be infrastructure? What we know is it's going to be infrastructure. That's the reason why stimulus checks have not been brought up at this time. But what we're hearing is that right now, being that stimulus checks did such a good job of providing for the American people, building up and propping up businesses and the economy during the pandemic, a lot of experts are saying that this is what was needed in order to prove that universal basic income does work. So, some experts are saying that the universal basic income that we are going to see, that Democrats plan to implement, okay, they're going to be things like expanded Medicare, more rental and housing assistance, additional nutrition assistance. We see this with the 15% SNAP bonus. Plus, we see this with pandemic EBT as well. So there's a lot going on there. The expanded unemployment, the $300 per week boost. What we are hearing at this time is maybe $300 per week was too much. That's kind of where we're getting this is kind of the story that we're hearing at this time. But what some are saying is, and this is something that I didn't predict it. This is something that I mentioned was a possibility, and a very strong possibility, because it was mentioned by a few lawmakers a few months back, was that they wanted to see where instead of expanding unemployment benefits to $300 per week for the pandemic, they wanted to see either an increase to state benefits, or if the states didn't want to do that, then the federal government would step in and provide like an additional $100 per week, or maybe $50 per week, just something that is, again, more of a form of universal basic income to provide for somebody that was recently laid off or let go. So that's another thing we're hearing. Some experts are calling the child tax credit. Some say it's a stimulus check. Others say it's a form of universal basic income. It's just providing for lower income individuals and people with families. But then you leave out those that do not have a family, or those that are, make a little bit more money. And I completely understand if you make more money, you probably don't need any UBI. But, others say that if every single American's getting it, why should we leave out the one percenters? Well, You leave out the 1% because they don't need the money. They'd never even know if it was deposited into their account or not. So that's kind of what we're hearing there. And even a possibility of a parent tax credit. So we could see a child tax credit that goes more towards the children, right? It's supposed to, and a parent tax credit where the money is supposed to be going to the parent, right? So we can see both of those. And again, all these, according to reports, are forms of UBI. This is just universal basic income, in the present day. So we will see what happens there. But right now, that's what we know on that. Experts do say that the rising demands of stimulus checks were because of this rising demand from the American people. Chances are the American people would be comfortable with increasing our deficit here in the United States. I think we're like at $29 trillion in debt. But what they're saying is that the American people seem okay with increasing the deficit if this means providing them with universal basic income. But the other issue is you cannot give the American people some form of universal basic income, like let's say $100 a month, and then you go and tax it away in the end. It would make absolutely no sense. So we'll see what happens there. If Democrats do make this possible, okay, if this is something that they want to do, what we are hearing at this time is this would most likely come down to who controls the House and the Senate after the 2022 midterm election. If it is Democrats, they continue to remain in power, but their lead actually expands, so they have more room in the House, and they actually have more than just a 50-50 split in the Senate, then we could potentially see some form of universal basic income come out of that. But as of right now, we don't really know what's going to happen. What I can tell you, though, is that billionaires will most likely be the target as to how any of this will be paid for. But that doesn't mean Republicans and Democrats really agree that this is who should be paying for it. And this is one of the reasons why they continue to argue. Just the other day, Republicans and Democrats continue to fight over how to pay for President Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure package. What we do know is that Democrats just want to tax billionaires, tax the wealthier individuals here in this country. And some say that's perfectly fine. They need to pay their fair share. Others, and mostly Republicans, are saying that no, we should not be taxing billionaires that will never drive on that road, that will never use the internet in that city. They should not have to pay for a bridge that they will never cross. What Republicans are proposing is we need to see a higher gas tax. So anybody that drives a car, anybody that uses gasoline, they will pay the taxes every time they go and get a gallon. They also want to increase user fees. Okay, which is a big one. You use it, you pay for it. And they also want to include more toll roads. So you drive on the road, you're going to pay for it. You drive across the bridge, you will pay for it. So that is something that Democrats do not want to do, simply because, not because it's not a possibility, not because it doesn't work. It does work. We've been using these ideas for years. The reason why Democrats don't want to move forward with this is simply because President Biden promised anybody making less than $400,000 per year would not see an increase in taxes. That is the only reason why that the Biden administration does not want to move forward with something like this and do get this bill passed through bipartisan support. But again, we will see what happens there. We also know, this actually happened this week, the House passed a bill to remove medically necessary debt from your credit report. Something that we have been seeing over the past few months is that lawmakers are saying that when you do not have any control over it, then you should not be required to pay for it. This is kind of happens with this whole pandemic. We didn't cause this. This was at no fault of our own. So why should the American people have to pay for this? Well, what we're hearing is that the reason why this bill passed is because what they are saying is that these lawmakers, mostly Democrats, are saying is that right now, if somebody has a medical necessity, they need to go into the doctor, the hospital, and get a procedure done. And it is something that's life or death. They do not and cannot afford it, but they have to get it done or else they're going to die. One of the things is this would be considered medically necessary. It would be a procedure that has to be done, and this bill would prohibit the collection of medical debt for at least 2 years. So this means somebody could actually try and attempt to pay it off, not wait a month or 2 months and then get hit with a collection bill simply because they couldn't make a payment. But it's because maybe they are still recovering and they can't go back to work or for whatever reason. And so there's other issues behind it. So this bill says you could not collect on this medical debt for at least 2 years. In addition, it would actually prohibit medically necessary procedures from being included into a credit report. A lot of people right now are struggling to just buy a home. Buying a home is not as easy as it once was back in 2006, 2007. It was very easy back then. Yeah, you didn't even have to provide any income, or at least any income verification. But now what we know is that a lot of people are being hurt by their credit simply because their credit score has gone down because some of these debts, some of these medical bills are showing up on their credit report, and obviously they're not being paid. So this bill that was passed by the House would actually benefit a lot of people because of that. So that's something that I thought was very interesting. I just wanted to mention to you guys. We also know that there's that $28 billion that went to to save a restaurant or whatever, to pay for restaurants and give them the ability to hire back workers, to pay for products, to pay for just different things to run their business. What we know is the SBA. They actually started this like 10 days ago, or 11 days ago now, but this started 2 Mondays ago, right? And what I can tell you is that in the last 10 days, the SBA has received 266,000 applications asking for more than $65 billion in funding and aid. But what you got to keep in mind is this is only a $28 billion fund, and they're already receiving up to $65 billion in requests. So this is turning into a big issue. Now, and this is something that was backed by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. He really pushed for this. But now multiple lawmakers are urging our congressional leaders to include more for this fund. Again, this was backed by Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader. So if he wants to include more funds, to this program, he has the ability to do so, bring a bill to the floor. But some right now are saying that they do expect more money to go to the restaurants very soon, because as we see more restaurants open up, as we see the hospitality industry start to recover, what we're also going to see is our unemployment rate drop. The economy is going to open up a little bit quicker. We're going to see more stable unemployment. We're going to see the economy can pretty much survive on its own without the help or outside help of the U.S. government. So that would be a good thing as well. Another thing that I really want to address, and this is more daily news, is right now the IRS is saying that they will be cracking down on cryptocurrency traders, because that is costing the IRS a lot of money, simply because these traders are not paying their fair share of taxes. They're actually trying to figure out ways to avoid paying all taxes. The IRS is trying to just get records from all traders on the different trading platforms. What we do know as of right now, if you bought any cryptocurrency over the past, let's say 5 years, and I don't think there's a time limit or limitation on this. The IRS is going to go back as far as they want to. But what we know is that you could be forced to pay back taxes, and chances are the penalties will be substantial depending on how much money you have actually made. So if you bought, let's say Bitcoin 10 years ago, and let's say you sold it 5 years ago, you should have been, you should have had to pay income tax on that. Now, I'm not a tax attorney, I'm not an accountant, I'm no CPA, I'm no expert there. Okay, but what I can tell you is if you make money, you should have to pay money. That's the way the IRS works. That's the way the IRS looks at it. So we will see what happens there, but just understand, I know there's a lot of people making a very good amount of money with Bitcoin, with Ethereum took off. Litecoin's still doing well. Dogecoin obviously has been doing really well also. So if you've been making money with cryptocurrencies, just plan on taking some money out, okay, so that you can pay your taxes just in case they do come after you. I would recommend talking to an expert though. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just here to warn you that the IRS is looking into people like this. So I do trade cryptocurrencies, so this is something that I know firsthand. They will come after you. Now, they haven't come after me, but at the same time, I do pay my taxes. So the IRS also said yesterday, and this is a big one, that those who overpaid for their unemployment income will start receiving their refund checks this week. That's going to happen this week. So that's really good news. So if you have been waiting around for your income taxes, here's something I just want to address. First off, the IRS says they will start sending out these payments, these refund checks this week. The problem is they still have to process your tax return first before they can process the unemployment income tax waiver fee, okay, and that refund. So what I can tell you is if you collected any unemployment benefits, right, over the past year, over 2020, you can receive up to $10,200 in free income without having to pay taxes on it. That means, and reports indicate that most Americans will receive anywhere between $1,200 and $2,000 back as a refund for their unemployment income tax waiver. Okay, so just keep in mind, the IRS is there are still millions and millions of tax returns behind, both paper and electronically. Okay, so what I can tell you right now is just understand it's going to take some time. It may be a lot longer. You might have to wait until the middle of this summer, maybe even into the fall. But just understand, and I know that's not what you want to hear, especially when it comes to a tax return, but just understand the IRS is working through this, and you will get this as soon as possible. So that's what we know right now. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Just want to thank you guys for watching and spending this Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon with me. Again, if you can, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.